Alright, Budget Magic, playing some Turbo Fog in Modern. I don't think we can keep a one-lander. This is definitely questionable, but we can try it. Dawn Charm, we need white mana, is the bottleneck at the moment. So, Shelldock Isle, get a Angel Song, I guess. If we live long enough to activate Shelldock Isle, Angel Song is probably the card we want under it. Island, eh? White mana? That's a plains. Well, Shelldock Isle. And, man, all our card draws on the bottom. Take the Holy Day. Pass the turn. Wonder what this is. Merfolk? Another island. Looks like Merfolk. Spreading Seas, a Shelldock Isle. Sure. Turns it even more blue. Well, I think we just slam a Sphinx's Tutelage and start milling. Plains into Sphinx's Tutelage. They shouldn't have a way to get the Tutelage off the battlefield. Tech Edge. And Kira. Alright, so this does look like some form of Merfolk. Would be my guess. Let's see what we mill. That should be able to tell us. Tutelage, Silvergill, yeah, and Ether Vial. So definitely Merfolk. Well, let's play Glacial Fortress, and I think we're just going to main phase this Dictate while our opponent's tapped out. And we should be able to fog our way through Merfolk. Just got to avoid counter spells, but opponent draws an extra card, which gets them closer to death from Tutelage. Alright, they Tech Edge or Glacial Fortress. Sure. Master of the Pearl Trident. Well, we have plenty of fogs in our hand. And we should be able to mill them pretty quick. They seem like the kind of deck that won't hold up very well to milling. Ethereal Haze, mill a bunch. 4 and 2. Unfortunately, we didn't find a land, which is bad. So pass the turn. That's the only scary part, is if our opponent draws into enough counters and we don't have enough white mana, that could be a way we lose this game. Also, Spreading Seas on our plains would be pretty annoying until we find more white mana. So that's the main thing we need, is just to draw some more white sources. They can't be playing too many Tech Edges, I wouldn't think. Ether Vial, alright, not especially relevant. And Lord of Atlantis to pump up the Merfolk. Well, we're going to fire off our first... They don't even attack with Kira. What are they worried about? Well, on second thought, maybe we just take 3. I don't really want to spend a fog to save 3 damage. Alright, come on, white mana. Gideon is very far from white mana. Oh, and more blue mana? Not great. Even a Ghost Quarter. I would be fine with a Ghost Quarter that we could use on ourselves to get more white mana. I guess if we mill our opponents enough, the Shelldock Isle has a Holy Day under it, so that could give us a fog. But just 1 white mana is scary. I'm expecting like Spreading Seas your island, swing with everything, and we're going to be in trouble. Silvergill draws our opponent a card. So they're down to 30 cards in their library. Activates the Mutavault. Goes attacking. They really don't want to attack with Kira. Well, now we will Dawn Charm. Come on, white mana. Also milling our opponents much. Alright, Ghost Quarter helps. Ghost Quarter can turn into a plains. That makes me feel a bit better. Oh, and we just drew a plains. Mill 2, mill 2. So let's play a plains. Pass the turn. So now we have up 2 white sources, which means we can Ethereal Haze and Dawn Charm, for example, we can fog twice to get around a counter spell, and we don't just scoop to another Spreading Seas, which, if we had only one white source, would potentially just beat us. Well, let's Ethereal Haze. Opponent Spell Pierces. Alright, we will pay for Spell Pierce. Are they trying to cast Cryptic without enough blue mana? What do they have? Alright, they let it resolve, so no combat damage this turn. And Mirage can tap or untap a permanent when they cast a Merfolk. Ooh, another Tutelage. Well, let's mill. And an Elixir. Interesting. Opponent's down to 16 cards. So let's play Ghost Quarter. And I think we just pass the turn here. Maybe we just upkeep stop and cast a Holy Day. Silvergill draws a card. Yep. So on the upkeep, we'll Holy Day. Alright, our opponent's going to counter and bounce a Tutelage. Well, in that case, let's just use our Dawn Charm. That does slow down our milling a little bit, unfortunately. Opponent draws a card, but they're mostly tapped out. 13 cards left in their deck, so we're getting close. Good to know that they have a Cryptic. That's not usually a card you see in Merfolk. Alright, they have another blue source, maybe. Do they have an island to fetch? They do. And Spreading Seas are Shelldock Isle. Alright, we'll see. No attacks. Supreme Verdict and Shelldock Isle. Well, let's... Do we want a Supreme Verdict? Yeah, let's Supreme Verdict. Shelldock Isle gets us a Holy Day. And then I guess we can play this Elixir of Immortality. Pass the turn. So we have up Ghost Quarter, so in the worst case, we can Ghost Quarter ourselves to get an Ethereal Haze. To get a Plains to be able to play an Ethereal Haze. But hopefully that won't be necessary. Wrathing there means our opponent should have to spend their mana to replenish their board. They can't just sit back. Alright, Tech Edge goes after our Shelldock Isle. And Master of Waves. Alright. Our opponent could have attacked for 2 there. Dictate, not exciting, and Ethereal Haze. Well, let's replay our Tutelage. Stop on our opponent's upkeep, and Ethereal Haze. Hopefully they don't have too many counters left. Ethereal Haze. Resolves. Sweet. So now we're not taking combat damage. Our opponent draws an extra card. We're not that far away from killing them with Dictate, actually. Gonna Spreading Seas our Plains. Sure. That draws them another card and brings them even closer to death. So we get a tutelage trigger, get a dictate tutelage trigger, opponent's down to 4, down to 2, and tutelage. For the final 2 cards, we need to discard something. I guess we'll just discard a Dawn Charm since they already know about it. And empty library. So our opponent will die on their on their draw phase when they draw a card. Actually, they'll die before that to when our dictate triggers. And we got there. Sweet. Well, seems like another decent matchup. Yeah, so Merfolk, do we want to fight counter wars, or do we just plot our way through? Guess we can bring in Supreme Verdict. Elixir isn't bad in this matchup, I don't think. Yeah, we can go down Elixir. We'll run it like that. Oh, alright, game 2 against Merfolk, but we have a 0-lander, which we definitely can't keep. So let's ship it. Ooh. Oh, do we have to go to 5, or do we hope we get lucky? I think we gotta go to 5. That's somewhat better. And we get a land on top. Still not really where we want to start out at. Ether Vial for our opponent. Alright, we get a Temple, Shelldock Isle to the bottom. Vial takes up. Mutavault. And, alright. So we probably do nothing this turn. Island go. We would like to get down a Temple Bell to start drawing cards. Wouldn't be surprised to see our opponent counter it. Crag's Polluted Delta. Redree. Now it looks like we're going to get to resolve Temple Bell. Alright, Temple Bell down. Let the drawing begin. We do have 4 Fogs in hand, which is decent. Our opponent's building up a board, though. Double Lords, so we're taking 6 this turn. We're going to be leaning heavily on our Fog effects. Drawing into a Supreme Verdict would also be alright. Here comes Mutavault, so we're taking a billion this turn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, half our life total. And they're going to start drawing cards with Sig, which is actually not that bad for us. We're going to help them draw cards. Ooh, that's Supreme Verdict too. Land? Temple Bell. Alright, well let's main phase draw so we can hopefully find a land. No land. Alright, that means we just gotta pass and try to fog. Vial. Thassa. Well, let's lead on Ethereal Haze. Resolves. Opponent passes. Oh, come on, lands. Ugh. We're in a really bad spot now. Guess we gotta pitch our Gideon. If they ever draw into counters, which they're drawing multiple cards and scrying, it wouldn't be surprising. We could very easily just lose. Normally you don't want to draw main phase with Temple Bell, but if you're desperate for lands, I think it's acceptable. Here comes the attack. We will Dawn, well, what's Holy Day? Resolves. Our opponent doesn't even seem to be trying to counter them. Maybe they just don't have the option. That's a land. So let's play Ghost Quarter, pass the turn. Cavern. Well, we weren't planning on countering our opponent's stuff anyway, so that's fine. Dawn Charm. See if our opponent drew into a counter yet. No. They have taken their counters out against us? That seems odd. Alright, Temple Bell. Another Temple Bell. Alright, there's a land. So I think we just gotta pass, though. Going with just one... enough mana for one fog effect is risky by playing like a Temple Bell or a Tutelage. Eventually we'll be able to Supreme Verdict, which should help. Curse Catcher. They get to tap. Alright. Well, let's Angel Song. So we can untap our land if they'd like. Temple Bell, Howling Mine. Dictate, alright, Temple Bell, main phase, Shelldock Isle. So we play Shelldock Isle, get a Ethereal Haze. We play a Howling Mine. They haven't seemed like they've had counters, but we might just be getting slow rolled. We haven't left ourselves in a position to get hit by Spell Pierce. But if we don't play anything, we risk just dying by not drawing enough action. Let's play Howling Mine. We're on a Mold of 5. I think we got to take a slightly riskier line than we'd like to. So let's Dawn Charm. And our opponent just lets it resolve. So apparently they don't have any counters, which is really odd. You would think that I would sideboard in counters against our deck. Tech Edge. Gonna hit our Shelldock Isle. So our opponent just gonna pass? They pass. Alright, let's see what we draw into. Tutelage, Island. Alright, let's play the Island. Let's Temple Bell. See if we hit a Fog. We do not. So that means we need to Supreme Verdict. Can't be countered. Alright, ship it back. See if our opponent can assemble a lethal board state from this position. They do have Ether Vial, but they did not use it. Really weird. What could our opponent possibly have going on? They have Ether Vial. I guess they don't have that many 3s, so maybe taking up to 3 was a mistake with Ether Vial. We are running a bit low on actual action, though. Curse Catcher. Lord of Atlantis. Can they actually turn on Thassa? Silvergill. Yep, that's a Thassa. So we're taking a beating. And yep, down to 5. Well, we have to draw a Fog here. Supreme Verdict might do it, but more than likely, we need a Fog. And our opponent not to have counters. Let's see, what do we get? Tranquil Cove, Dawn Charm. Well, I guess we Temple Bell and We're not beating a counter anyway. So Tranquil Cove. Pass the turn. Stop on the upkeep to Dawn Charm. Hope our opponent doesn't have a counter. They're going to vial in a Master of Waves. Well, they have lethal. That's not the question. Question is, do they have a counter? Alright, let's Dawn Charm. And they found their Cryptic. Alright. Well, I guess we can draw again. We could hit Ethereal Haze. And we did. Well, in that case, we Ghost Quarter ourselves. That was pretty lucky. Get a Plains. And Ethereal Haze. And we lose to the Curse Catcher. Alright, we had to try it. They could forget the Curse Catcher under that huge stack. Well, that was a big mulligan. Makes it kind of tough. Let's run it back. Alright, game 3 against Merfolk. Alright, well, we got a Howling Mine. That's one of the cards we want. So we get to Tranquil Cove, into Howling Mine, and hope we draw well. We also have plenty of lands, which isn't a bad thing. Polluted Delta for our opponent. Do they have an Ether Vial? They have a Curse Catcher. That's alright. It cannot counter a Howling Mine. So Plains into Howling Mine. They have a really hard time dealing with artifacts or enchantments once they hit the battlefield as a mono blue deck. Unfortunately, our opponent gets the first draw from Howling Mine. The downside is we don't have much going on other than that Howling Mine. We got a Fog Effect and lands. There's Master of the Pearl Trident. So we're taking 2. Let's see what we draw. Angel Song and Howling Mine. Well, let's keep howling. Howling Mine, Shelldock Isle. All Dawn Charms in a Temple of Epiphany. Alright, we'll take Dawn Charm. Pass the turn. So we're going to take a hit here. Cavern of Souls. They have another Lord. Another Curse Catcher. Alright, so we take 4, down to 15. And Hurkyl's Recall bounces our Howling Mines. Sure. That just means we need to Howling Mine and Howling Mine. I would have brought in Negates if I had thought about Hurkyl's Recall being an issue. I guess that makes sense. So our opponent has definitely drawn way more cards off our Howling Mines than we have. Mutavault. Spreading Seas, one of our white sources. Sure. Draws our opponent another card. And another Lord. Yup. Alright, we're taking 9 here. So we're going to have to start making sure we can resolve our Fog Effects, or we will be dead. I guess we could draw Wrath would be alright. Ghost Quarter. Shelldock Isle, Dawn Charm. Well, let's just play a Ghost Quarter, set an upkeep stop, pass the turn. Our opponent doesn't have Cryptic mana, so let's just Angel Song. Spell Pierce could beat us if our opponent played properly. Double Spell Pierce. Spell Snare, alright. Well, then we have to Ethereal Haze. Alright, Ethereal Haze resolved. So we're staying alive, but we are again down to a Dawn Charm and a bunch of lands, which isn't especially where we want to be. Supreme Verdict would still be awesome. It would be nice to get rid of those Curse Catchers, which can combine with a Spell Pierce to make our life really difficult. There's a Thassa. Alright, I think Supreme Verdict is our best draw here. So we get 3 cards. Howling Mine, Tranquil Cove, and Tranquil Cove. Whew. Well, there is a less than 0 chance that we're dead this turn. So we play Howling Mine. How much do we care about Spell Pierce? They didn't Spell Pierce last turn when it would have beat us, but they have drawn a bunch of cards since then. We can't beat Cryptic with this hand. Alright, I mean, if they have a Spell Pierce or a Spell Snare, we're dead. So Howling Mine into Island. Pass the turn. Stop on our opponent's upkeep and try to Dawn Charm. We can pay for the Curse Catchers, but if they have another counter, then we're done for. So Dawn Charm, prevent all combat damage. Curse Catcher, we gotta pay for. They must have a Spell Pierce. And that does it. Well, not bad overall. We just couldn't quite get there against Merfolk, but overall pretty successful. We'll take it.